Aleichem everyone. Hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful week. A little change of scenery over here. I wanted to share an idea relating Parshas Shlach in Eretz Yisrael, Parshas Beha'alotcha and Chutz La'aretz, but an idea that's nogea to everyone, relevant to everyone, that emerges from the Psukim in Parshas Beha'alotcha. We are told in Perek Tes of Sefer Bamidbar Pasuk Yid Zayin, going into Pasuk Chav Beis, we'll read the Psukim. We're told about the travels of Bnei Yisrael and how everything was linked to the Anan. When the Anan moved, Bnei Yisrael moved. When the Anan was stationary, the Jewish people had to be stationary, and they never knew how long they were going to be in a given location. Sometimes it could be hours, sometimes it could be days, sometimes weeks, and sometimes months. When the Anan would move, they would move. When the Anan would stay stationary, they would stop. Whenever the Anan would stop and would be resting on the Mishkan, Yachanu, they would stop. And when the Anan was on the Mishkan for many days, Vishamru b'nei Yisrael mishmeres Hashem v'lo yiso. Bnei Yisrael had to do the Shmira, mishmeres Hashem v'lo yiso. And sometimes it would be many days. Yamim mispar l'mishkan al pi Hashem yachanu. V'yesh asher yeh anan me'erev ad boker v'nale anan ba'boker v'nasu o yomam v'layla v'nale hanan v'naso. Sometimes it would be a day, and they'd move. Sometimes the pasuk says yomayim o chodesh. Many days, few days. They never knew. They never knew. And then it says barich hanan al mishkan yachanu. Bnei Yisrael v'lo yiso. And when the Mishkan when the Anan stayed in the Mishkan for a lengthy time, they would have to cease and desist. Everything al pi Hashem. So Rav Shamshon Fal Hirsch and the Ramban all make very clear that this test and the travels was all a tremendous test of emunah and bitachon b'Hashem, and to always have the realization that even though we had no idea how long we were going to be stopping, how long we have to assemble the camp, and you never knew if it was a couple of hours or a couple of months. You did not know. This was the way it was, wandering through the wilderness, which was to teach us for all time to follow God devoutly and trustfully, to have complete confidence in Him, however little His guidance may seem comprehensible to us. Though He tells us now to leave a place where we have only just made ourselves comfortable, then to stay patient in the most cheerless conditions, still always do what He directs, always to feel cheerful under the crook of God's guidance, always to be ready to defer the plan of our life to God and to follow His guidance, even on most incomprehensible paths, with enduring patience and with never failing courage. These are the words of Rav Hirsch. And then Rav Hirsch makes an insight that if you study these 6 psukim carefully, you'll notice there's a greater emphasis. There's a greater emphasis on listening to Hashem on the stops than on the starts. We don't find as much about, yes, move when Hashem does. We have this idea of that sometimes the cloud would rest on the sanctuary for a long time, and there was an obligation, a special chiyuv of shmiras mishmeres Hashem, that to have patience, to endure the stops, was actually the greater nisayon, and therefore required greater emphasis. That's a very fascinating concept and a fascinating idea, and I would suggest that human beings, the nature of human beings, is that we are doers. We like action. We like accomplishment. We like traveling. We like journeys. We like the nesiot. That's what we like. And the stops, that's what's challenging. Because if you're a doer, if you're a mobile person, then to go ahead and stop and to maintain the stop for as long as it's required, that's really, really hard. And perhaps that's exactly, nevertheless, that's the emphasis. And it's al pi Hashem yachanu. And ushmartem mishmeres Hashem. When you're stopping, you have to realize that's the Ratzon Hashem. And obviously the message for our times is so clear and so obvious, is that we're in a state, we've been in a state for now 3.5, 4 months of al pi Hashem yachanu. It's time to stop. And perhaps, we find ourselves getting antsy, getting uncomfortable, like waiting to break out. When can I travel? When can I go on vacation? When can I go to shul, to work, to whatever? No, understand that this is part of the nisayon of midbar. al pi Hashem yachanu, and to endure with patience. This is the Ratzon Hashem. I've gotten a lot of questions as economies start to open up, as shuls are starting to open up in Chutz La'aretz. We've been open up a bit longer in Israel, but the questions come up. My father doesn't want me to go to shul. I'm allowed to go to shul. We're having shul is still very, very shrunken. We're saying only Heicha Kedusha, just coming for Yishtabach, leaving, minimizing everything. So if that's what our Rabbanim are telling us to do, then that's the Ratzon Hashem, and we have to endure the stop. Al pi Hashem yachanu. If that's the Ratzon Hashem, then we embrace that Ratzon Hashem. It's hard, not easy. It's against our natures, but that's what we do. If it means davening with a mask, which is really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And I personally get agitated when I see people without masks in shul. It's uncomfortable, but but you have to do it. That is the Ratzon Hashem, al pi Hashem yachanu. And sometimes Ratzon Hashem is uncomfortable. Let's be honest, to sit in the midbar and to be encamped in the midbar for we don't know how long, and to stop, cease and desist might be uncomfortable. But that's the Ratzon Hashem, and that's what we have to do. So we find ourselves in this week's, in today's world, we find ourselves in a state of al pi Hashem yachanu. It's against our nature. It's against who we are. It's against our essence. But we embrace the Ratzon Hashem. We might daven that we should be able to move on. We should be able to go forward. But this is perhaps a very, very inyana diyoma message that we find in these parshios, is al pi Hashem yachanu v'al pi Hashem yisa'u, and somehow figure out how to embrace and connect and realize this is Ratzon Hashem. The al pi Hashem yachanu requires extra shmira, but something that we certainly can and ought to tap into as we learn these parshios. Have a wonderful Shabbos Kodesh.